Welcome to Murder with the Misses. I'm Darren.
And I'm Amy. And today we're going to tell you about Amy Allwine.
Don't forget to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Podbean, and Facebook. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure to hit the notification bell so you get the new episodes whenever they drop. And tell your friends as always.
The internet. You can do pretty much anything you want on the internet. I'm about one step away from never having to leave my house again. But it's not all great deals and recipes. We're all aware that there is a dark side to the internet, where the shadies hang out. We're going to touch on that today. But we start with Amy Allwine. She was a 43-year-old woman living in Cottage Grove, Minnesota, who ran a dog training business. She'd been married to 43-year-old Stephen Allwine for 18 years at this point. They met at a Christian college and both were members of the United Church of God. In fact, Stephen was an elder who gave sermons and traveled spreading the word. He also offered marriage counseling at the church. They had an adopted son who we will call JL, and he was now 9 years old. This is a lot to get into, so we're going to get straight into it. On November 13th, 2016, at approximately 7 p.m., Cottage Grove police were dispatched to the Allwine house. They had received a 911 call from Stephen saying that he thinks his wife shot herself. You hear JL ask, "She shot herself with a gun?" To which Stephen said, "It looks like it," and JL cries. It's so sad. When police get there, Stephen and JL were standing in the open garage. Stephen told them that Amy was in the rear bedroom, but was uncertain of her injuries and a 9mm was used. Police found Amy laying on the bedroom floor near the door, and there was a pool of blood on the carpet near her and under her head. There was a 9mm Springfield XDS laying on the floor and against Amy's left forearm elbow area. She was warm to the touch and had no pulse. There was a shell casing on the floor next to Amy's right foot.
So was she right-handed or left-handed?
Well, when her parents arrived at the house, they verified that Amy is right-handed.
But the gun was on her left side.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a red flag.
Immediate red flag. To the cops, too. They noted that, and also that they smelled pumpkins. In the kitchen, there were pumpkins roasting in a roaster that was still on. And that was odd to them that she would start roasting pumpkins, then just decide to hurt herself. But everyone acts differently in situations like this, and decisions can be made very quickly. Stephen tells them that he last saw Amy at around 5:29 p.m. when he left to go pick up JL from Amy's parents' house. He had called them around 1:54 that day to pick JL up because Stephen worked 2 jobs and both were from home, down in the basement. And he was trying to get some work done, and Amy had been complaining of dizziness after lunch. He tried to get her to go to the doctor, but she just wanted to lay down, and at 5 o'clock, she told him to stop checking on her. He said after working, he left to pick up JL at about 5:29 to take him to a class at the Ninja Warrior gym. But when he stopped to get gas in Amy's car, he realized that he forgot JL's gym shorts. So instead of going to the gym, they went to Culver's for dinner. When they got home, JL went inside first and saw Amy laying on the floor, so they called 911. Since her parents were on scene, they asked Amy's dad to recount his events of the day. He said that he came to their house after lunch to put a lock on the dog door. He didn't see Amy because Stephen said she wasn't feeling well and was laying down. He finished and left around 2 p.m. It was about 15 minutes later when Stephen called him asking him to come back and get JL so that he could take Amy to urgent care. While they were taking statements, Sergeant McAllister is walking around the scene. He notices that the bedroom where Amy is has a lot of dog hair on the floor, but the wood floor outside the bedroom is very clean. Looking closely, the wood floor had some sort of residue on it. The comforter on the bed next to her had no blood on it, and it was unseasonably warm, like t-shirt weather. But the large stove used to heat the house was going. He called the BCA, which is the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, and once they viewed the scene, they then called in the medical examiner to retrieve the body. And they got a search warrant.
Are you telling me that they got called to a suicide scene, but they are actually investigating it?
Yeah.
Well, we don't see that enough.
No, that's one of the reasons this story stuck out.
Our last story actually says that they don't investigate them enough. And I mean,
at all sometimes.
And this one right here, it's like, hey, they're doing their job.
They immediately was like, nope.
Okay.
Nope. Too many red flags.
All right, Minnesota.
Get it, Minnesota? And that's exactly what they're doing. They're getting it.
Good.
Stephen was taken to the station for a gunshot residue test and to give a DNA sample. Then they took his official statement. According to the complaint, he woke up and started working at around 5:50 a.m. They all had breakfast around 10 a.m. and he went back to work. Amy's dad came and worked on the door, and then Amy asked him to call her dad to come back and pick up JL because she wasn't feeling well and wanted to lay down, but didn't want him to be alone. So that happened, and at one point while he was working, he heard a thump. So he went up and checked on Amy. She had apparently fallen in the bathroom, but said she was fine. At 5 to 5:15, he came up to check on her, and she was kneeling by the bed, so he assumed she was praying. He told her he was going to pick up JL, and on the way, he realized that they wouldn't have enough time to make it to the gym. Now, he did not mention the shorts in this version, so they got dinner, and then they went home. JL went inside and asked why his mommy sitting on the floor. He told him to go get ready for bed, and then went into their bedroom and saw Amy laying on the floor in a puddle of blood with the gun next to her, so he called 911. JL's version of events went pretty much normal for what a kid would have been aware of that day. And it was the same as Stephen's version, but JL said when they got home and he asked his dad why mom was sleeping on the floor, that Stephen said, she's probably dead.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Who tells their kid that?
Stephen.
Wow.
He did. What?
Why is mom sleeping? Oh, she's probably dead.
She probably did. Come on. Now, when you listen to the 911 call, you hear JL ask if Stephen will remarry. And Stephen chuckled and said, I don't know, bud. The couple had been having some issues lately, but not in their relationship. Earlier in 2016, around February, they had actually had a visit from police and the FBI. It seems that some hackers had been trolling around on the dark web and came across a site for Bessa Mafia. It was ran by Albanian gangsters, and you could go into the site to solicit murder and assaults for hire. When the hacker hacked it, they got a list of people who had contacted them for their services, and they gave that list to the FBI. In their investigation, they found out that someone was trying to hire them to kill Amy. They had come to their house to tell the couple to increase security and report any suspicious activity immediately. This, of course, came up in the investigation of Amy's death. Stephen said that they had installed security cameras after the cops told them about the hitman, but they had gotten lax about using them. He had actually turned off the back camera for the sliding glass door because when the dogs back there would move around, they would activate it a lot, and he didn't want to send the company a bunch of useless information. Being as he was in IT, they asked him about his knowledge of hacking and the dark web, but he said he knew nothing about any of that. He said he only knows about things that are supposed to work in the legitimate world. He said Amy had been more positive lately. She had got back into dog training, and he said that they took a trip to Germany where they all slept like babies. She had been having issues with her email. He had been frustrated about working in IT out of his basement, but they were in a pretty good place together. Police took Stephen's 2 cell phones. He had a black Samsung Galaxy S7 that was his personal phone, and a silver iPhone 6, which was his work phone. But let's get into the investigation.
They found out that Stephen had got a permit for the gun in August of 2016. He said that it was for protection because of death threats.
Yeah.
He's a preacher, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The death threats were coming from the dark web, that thing. So the basement office had a lot of sophisticated, technologically advanced computer equipment. The cops actually took 64 electronic devices from the house, according to Fox 9 News. There was a silver iPhone 6 and an LG Lucid 3 found in close proximity to Amy in the bedroom. The iPhone 6 was hers, and the last search was done at 2:01 that day for Vertigo on Wikipedia. 2 inactive phones were on Stephen's nightstand. A Samsung Galaxy S5 was in Stephen's office. The case document said this phone used the same number as his personal cell phone. The Ring system was registered to Stephen's email and that Galaxy S5. The phone had apps for BitWallet and Bitcoins on it. The Ring footage had 17 files, but none from the time of the shooting. The last recorded was on the 12th at 2:09 p.m., and the next was the next day on the 13th at 6:32 when police arrived. So why wasn't there anything from the whole rest of the day? We know they came in and out of the house. We know they did things, but where are those recordings? The home security had door activity logs, and it verified that there was activity just after 2, which would have been Amy's dad picking up JL, then activity at 5:26, which would have been when Steven stopped working and went to get JL. No more activity until they got home. But the service door, it showed activity at 2:40, 2:42, and 4:40. These were all during the times that Amy was upstairs laying down and Steven was supposedly in the basement working. There were transfer and spatter stains on both sides of the bedroom door. A drip pattern of blood in the bedroom, meaning that something was elevated when the pattern was made. They used luminol on the wood floor outside the bedroom because of that weird film that they saw, and there was a large pool outside of the master bedroom. Footprints between the couch, kitchen island, dining room table, to the basement door, in the hallway, of course, the main bathroom, in JL's bedroom, and in the laundry room. There was blood found in the tongue and groove portions of several of the floorboards in the hall, and Steven had no explanation for this.
So the gunshot residue test showed that Steven was positive for GSR on his right hand, too. He's right-handed.
So why did he have gunshot residue on his hand?
Exactly.
He
That's what I'm
definitely
saying.
shot a gun that day.
Exactly. That's why I was about to ask that question, but then, yeah.
Oh, but okay,
Yeah.
then you saw it. Okay.
I saw it, yeah. I was actually fixing to say, how did the test come back? But there it is.
There it is. Now, Steven's
Gotcha, bitch.
Now, Steven's employer, Opantix, not sure exactly how to say that, said his shift was from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m., Sunday through Wednesday, where he works on computer issues and logs all activities in case notes. On the day of the shooting, he logged in at 6:24, so he was late, then logged out for lunch from 12:13. He never entered the phone queue to finish his shift, and he didn't log any case updates that day, all day, and he never logged back in after lunch. His other job, Cigna, this is the company that issued him his other work phone. They said that he never logged in for work that day at all. So he basically didn't do anything past noon, but was telling the cops that he was in the basement working all day. They found that Steven's iPhone 6 had a contact named Michelle. Steven admitted to an affair with Michelle. She told police that they had met on Ashley Madison's website. And for those few who don't know, that's basically a dating website for married people to have affairs. They dated for a while. She said he even tried to get her to come to his house when Amy would be away on dog training trips, but they would have to sneak her into the back way to avoid the cameras. Michelle said the relationship fizzled in February of 2016. She also said that if the murder for hire plot was true, that Steven was smart enough to pull it off. And this was not the only affair he had from this website. He also used Backpage, where he paid for sex. And let's drop the nugget that Amy had a $700,000 life insurance policy.
Well, it sounds like they have him. He has GSR on his hands. He has motive.
Mm-hmm.
He lied to the cops about what he did that day.
Yeah.
He's really making their case easy for him.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
They don't even have to do anything.
No.
Just take his statement and be like, well, he's
Yeah.
wrong.
It's like, all right, cool. You know, just write this down. You know, let me push the little record button. Go ahead, tell me about your day.
Yeah, it's the best thing next to a confession, right?
Yep.
Just lie.
Gotcha, bitch.
Got him. He's definitely not helping himself. But let's not forget about the murder for hire issue. The screen name that was trying to hire someone to kill Amy was Dog Day God. And I will try to hit the high points without confusion because there's a lot involved. Dog Day God opened a Reddit account on Valentine's Day of 2016. They asked for tips on how to identify cops posing as sellers on the dark web. The next day is when they emailed the hit site asking for the cost of a hit. Now, the pricing varies based on a lot of things like ease of access, method, etc., etc. But that it would start at $5,000 and was to be paid in Bitcoin. Dog Day God asked about killing Amy and making it look like a car accident. Well, that was $6,000. The next day, the 16th, Steven's Galaxy S5 had several cookies installed from 3 different Bitcoin sites. Later that day, Dog Day God emailed the hit site saying the target would be traveling to Moline, Illinois in March and asked if this would work. The hit site confirmed. On March 4th, Stephen received a verification token from a Bitcoin site on the Galaxy S5. From February 29th and March 5th, Dog Day God told the hit site that they had the Bitcoins now and discussed how to transfer them to make them look like they were for training or consulting or purchasing a car. The hit site verified the hit details and said the hitman would also have a gun on him in case Amy didn't die in the car crash. On March 6th, Dog Day God refers to theirself as she and says she needs this bitch dead. There will be a companion on the Moline trip, but she doesn't care if they get killed in the process. The hit site confirms for the evening of either March 19th or the 20th. Authorities did confirm that Amy did go to Moline at this time for a dog training competition.
And now that all of this is out, the person who went on that trip with her knows that they could have been killed that day for no reason.
Right. They know they were just collateral damage.
Wow.
Talk about a slap in the face.
So who was it?
It was just another person, a friend.
Wow.
I know. And that would have been for no reason. Like there would have been no purpose. Just that they wanted to make sure Amy died. And if that other person had to die in the path, do it. Tragic. Authorities also found out that on March 7th, Stephen called the Cottage Grove police to report Bitcoin fraud. He said he got an email on the 3rd from an untraceable account from a man named Mark, referencing Cisco training and materials for $6,000 in Bitcoin. He said he purchased that but never got the materials. They did find an email from a person named Mark about materials for sale and said that if Stephen wasn't interested, he would sell it on eBay. Stephen never responded to that email at all, much less that he wanted to buy it or sent the man money. The email kept up between Dog Day God and the hit site, though. Details were shared about Amy's family, schedules, and said that they were an individual close to Amy. They didn't want Amy's husband or son hurt. Oh, he spared himself, but he was going to let that friend just go down. Everyone else apparently was fair game. But during the Moline trip, there wasn't a chance to kill Amy. So they suggested a sniper for 12,000 Bitcoins. Dog Day God said Amy would be in Atlanta in a few weeks so they could try again with the original plan because they couldn't get a hold of more Bitcoin. It was ultimately decided that the hit would be done at the home and the house burned after. This would be an additional 10 Bitcoin and they guaranteed a 100% success rate. Dog Day God promised the additional coins would be sent the next day. And on March 22nd, she told the hit site that the additional funds were sent to the wrong address and provided them with a unique 34-digit alphanumeric Bitcoin address for that transaction. Police found that this 34-digit address had been saved in Stephen's notes on the phone and then deleted quickly after. But in that time, it had been saved to his computer when his iPhone backed up.
This was what officially linked Stephen as Dog Day God.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a 34-digit unique number.
Yeah.
That was Dog Day God's and saved on Stephen's phone. How else?
It was backed up.
Backed up into the cloud.
Yeah.
Dumbass. No way to get out of this one. But the hit obviously didn't happen. The hit site said that the hitman was pulled over by cops en route and was arrested for driving a stolen car and having a gun. The police verified that no one was arrested on these charges during the time in Minnesota or Western Wisconsin. So they know that this was a lie on the hit site's part. And they kept delaying and asking for more money. So it's likely that Stephen realized he was being played. On May 8th, Dog Day God went to another dark website asking for a partner for a job, anonymous, and that they would accept payment in Bitcoin. She was also looking for a drug dealer local to Minnesota, trying to buy scopolamine. I don't know. This is referred to as the devil's drug, and it is used in some countries as a date rape drug because it is known to erase a person's memory and render them incapable of exercising their own free will. Amy's autopsy showed that she had over 45 times higher concentration of this drug in her system than what would have been prescribed in a therapeutic dose. Also, Amy had never been prescribed this medication and none was found in the house. The autopsy also showed that she had no stippling on the skin like you typically see in a suicide. The closer the gun to the entry wound, the more stippling you see. She had no gunshot residue on her hands either. In July, Amy had received an email from an anonymous email address telling her details like that they knew she installed a security system, mentioned clothes her son was wearing the week before, details to let Amy know that she was being watched. The email said that Amy took her husband and was trying to steal her clients. It urges Amy to commit suicide or something will happen to her loved ones, saying 1 life to save 6 lives. Another was sent a few days later. These came from the dark web, so they weren't actually able to be traced.
It's not hard to figure out who sent these at this point.
No.
I mean,
yeah,
he was just trying to cover his track.
Exactly. That's exactly what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
They just can't pin that part on him because the actual evidence, it can't be proven for that part. But do they need it at this point?
Yeah.
So Stephen was charged with first-degree murder. He was able to bail out after he was arrested, but then he was rearrested after 2 months. One of the stipulations of his bail was that he couldn't contact Amy's parents or JL, but he tried to get them to activate JL's smartwatch so he could track him. He maintained his innocence, saying he wasn't smart enough to do all of this that they're saying that he did, and he was obviously framed since most of the evidence for the murder for hire portion was digital, easily manipulated. He said, when you look at all the scientific evidence, when you look at the physical evidence, I couldn't have done it if you know me as an individual. But he was the one with the gunshot residue on his hands. He was home alone with her during her time of death, which was 3 p.m., and not while he was gone picking up JL and getting dinner. There was no activity on any of the doors to show that someone else had entered or left the house while he was gone. The physical evidence points to no one but him. And prosecutors point all this out. And also, as a motive, they look at his affairs. Their church didn't believe in divorce. That's another thing we hear a lot. That these people, their churches don't believe in divorce, so they end up murdering their spouse to get out of the marriage. Well, if they don't like divorce, I bet they really don't like murder. His church says that you're supposed to get to know someone before you choose to marry them. So if you make the wrong choice, it's your own fault. And you should have planned better. They said he was not happy with Amy anymore and he wanted out. The hit didn't pan out since it came out that the hit site was a fraud site that just stole people's money. So he drugged her at lunch. And then when she was complaining about not feeling well and being dizzy, he sent JL away. But Amy wasn't dying fast enough, so he shot her. And he set it up to look like she did it herself. Cleaned up not just the hallway, but remember, the comforter had no blood. They think he burned the original comforter in the heating stove, and that's why it was on when the weather was so warm for that day. Then went to pick up JL, and the rest is history. The jury deliberated for 8 hours and found him guilty. He got life without parole. He still maintains his innocence to this day. His defense lawyer said that there was evidence that the Allwines were hacked, but the state didn't believe it.
Someone would have really wanted to take them down to go to all that trouble.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot. And you didn't even touch on all of it.
No, if I had to list out all of the evidence that they had as far as like the Dog Day God stuff, it would have taken us forever and you would have been confused because there was a lot.
I mean, he had gun residue on it. He tested positive.
Yeah.
It showed it on his right hand. I mean,
and she had none on her hands.
And it was the same gun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on.
The gun was on the wrong side. There was a huge cleanup. Did you hear about all them footprints and that was all in blood. So he had to clean all that up before he went and got his son.
That's what I'm saying.
There was no getting around it. He was he's dumb. And I think it's funny that he got scammed. That serves him right because they were taking all of his Bitcoin. Yeah, we'll totally do this hit for you. Lie.
Yeah, I don't know. You guys realize how much a Bitcoin is? What year was this?
2016. Yeah, 2016.
2016. Well, it's 2024 now.
Mm-hmm. We're going to the Google.
No, I'm going straight to
we're going to the stocks. Yeah, they're not very cheap, They're not easy to get your hands on them.
There you go. $60,136.90 per Bitcoin.
That's now?
Per one. Yes.
Good Lord.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't, I mean, you're talking about $6,000
in Bitcoin. But then whenever he had to redo it and they wanted to burn down the house, they wanted for 10 more.
10 more Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So, I mean, today's money, that would be $600,000.
My God.
You know?
And today, I wonder what it was back then. It couldn't have been that high, obviously, but
I mean,
that's still a lot of money.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And he was going to get $700,000 in her life insurance. That wouldn't even have covered in today's money.
Yeah, what
it wouldn't cover. Oh, he's so dumb.
Yeah, well, those little scammers, that scammed him out of those Bitcoin, they rich.
No lie, because that's what this site did. They literally did this to so many people.
Yeah.
And they just sat back and collected their money.
Just scammed him out of it. Well, I mean, you know what?
But you play stupid games, you get stupid prizes.
Yep.
And he wants to counsel people on their marriage.
Yeah, that was the end of this one. The guy obviously did it. He was the one that did it.
No getting around it.
No getting around it. Glad you guys joined us. Don't forget to tell your friends and join us on the next one.
Bye.